Hello, and welcome to another flight here with Flight Inibuilds. And today we're flying the A310-300, and we're going to take it across over from Orlando International to Atlanta. Today we'll be using the default handcrafted scenery available for Orlando and Atlanta. So there we go. This is the default handcrafted Orlando International Airport for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Yeah, we're not in 2024 today. The A310 just works a little better in 2020. So I've decided to record this in 2020. And we've got a very gorgeous Delta livery installed here. We've got a random guy walking under the wing. I don't know why, but we've got a very gorgeous Delta livery installed for the A310. In my opinion, this aircraft looks absolutely beautiful with this retro livery. I've never been a fan of retro liveries, but all of a sudden they've grown on me. And I think this one looks absolutely fantastic. Look at that. Look at this beautiful aircraft. Just take a quick pan around it. And then we'll go in and take a look at the route for the day. Okay, if I'm not entirely mistaken, I believe that the aircraft is slightly more detailed in 2024. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's more detailed by the landing gears and stuff like that in 2024. Yep, definitely so. Even looking at the landing bay area, the landing gear bay area, it is definitely more detailed in 2024. So that's something I'm noticing right off the bat. The next video I make with the A310 or the live stream, whichever it is, it's going to be in 2024, so we can have a good comparison between what we have in 2020 and 2024. So yeah, in 2020, the gear is not modeled as accurately, clearly, and some of the level of details might be missing from the engines, although I'm not too sure about that. It still looks extremely good nonetheless, but the details missing at the gear are quite obvious. Okay, that being said, it's an absolutely stunning aircraft even here in 2020. Can't wait to have a look at it again in 2024. But yeah, it's quite good. Yeah, anyway. Now that I had a look at the aircraft, we're not going to take a look at the airport. We've had a closer look at Orlando International, if I'm not completely mistaken, before. It's not exactly a particularly well-made airport. Although it's handcrafted, it's not particularly well-made. Yeah, it's not particularly well-made. You can't really go inside, but there is some sort of parallax effect at the windows. Some sort of custom building there. So all in all, it's not too bad. The area is beautiful, but, you know, it's not the best handcrafted airport. Definitely not. However, without further delay, let's get ourselves started here. Traffic injector seems to be working today. We've got plenty of traffic all around us. Without further delay, ladies and gentlemen, let's hop back into our cockpit here. As you can tell, we're in cold and dark. So today we'll be taking off from Orlando, where the weather is quite clear and very pleasant, and we're going to be landing into Atlanta with a storm on our hands. So that is today's exercise. Let's take a closer look here at our configuration for our aircraft. So GPU is already attached. Everything else is pretty much closed or detached. From our flight plan, we'll have to set up a few details here. We can do that. It's not a big deal at all. Passengers today, we're going to carry 157 passengers. So let's set that up. 157. Cargo for the day is going to be just 3.9 tons here today. So that's not a lot. Again, these are in kilograms, so yeah. Fuel for the day is going to be 9.78. So we can actually load 9.8 in here. So again, not a very long flight here today, just a quick exercise into landing it into a storm. And I've been studying the A310. It's a very new aircraft to me. Never flown it. Well, I flew the last few flights with it, of course, just as practice. But apart from that, I've never really flown it regularly as part of my channel before, despite having it for a couple of years at this point. So that's something. Always exciting to learn a new aircraft anyway. Anyways, we can pretty much apply that weight to the aircraft. There you go. We can go to the calculator right here. Now, we don't need to do this section just yet. We can do that in a little bit. So we'll leave this out for the time being. We'll take a look at today's route, and then we shall take it from there. Now, to show you today's route, I'm going to use a little nav map here. There you go. We're in Orlando right here, near runway 17R, where we'll be taking a U-turn basically, heading ourselves over to Atlanta. And in Atlanta, we're going to be landing into runway 27 left using the ILS to guide us in. We're not going to auto land this thing, although we do have the option to auto land it. I don't know how accurately it works, but we're going to be manually landing it after somewhere halfway through the glide slope. We'll take manual control and land it. Anyway, fairly simple flight plan here. Straight in arrival, U-turn and straight out departure. Nothing too complicated at all. So we're going to fly pretty much north up the panhandle, and there we go. Okay, so that is going to be today's route. Let me put away a little nav map right there. There you go. We are ready to start this up from cold and dark, and I want to warn you right now, for those using earphones, for example, the sounds inside the cockpit on this aircraft are extremely annoying and very, very loud. They are retro in style, so fair warning, I'm about to start up the batteries and all that stuff. So you're going to hear lots of beeps and noises and all that fun stuff. Anyway, so we can get that started up, and then let's see how we do here. All right. Batteries 1, 2, and 3 to on. Switching to external power right away. Let's arm the emergency lights here. Turn on our nav lights. Strobe to automatic. Passenger signs on. What else can we do? The ADARS systems can come to on, or rather we're going to put them on nav, wait for them to line up. So we're going to do that. We're not running the APU right off the bat today just yet. We can turn on the low pressure oxygen supply. Can do that here. What else can we turn on? We need to turn on ground for flight recorder. There we go. That is done. APU bleed is off. APU is off. We're not really going through the cockpit preparation. We're going to assume that all the flight deck preparations are done correctly. I'm going to double check anyway, just to make sure that everything is in order, and it pretty much seems like it's in order to me. Okay, very good. We can already go in and set the landing elevation if we like. Into Atlanta, it's going to be 999 feet, which we can round up to obviously 1,000. So yeah, we're gonna set that at 1,000 feet there in advance. Get rid of the yoke for the time being, just for help us see everything a little more clearly. There we go, looking just fine. Okay, let's come down here to our FMS for a second. It gives us the Align IRS. Let's go to Init. We are starting off from KMCO today, and we're going to land in KATL, which is Atlanta. There we go. We can press return there, and we can press Align IRS, and IRS is being aligned. It's going to take a couple of minutes here. And Yeah. Let's wait for that to happen, because there are some things we need to do after the IRS has finished aligning here. We have let's see, we're just having a quick look here, making sure everything is in order, and it is. Making sure that the switches, flaps, all of that stuff is looking quite fine here. Weather radar, TCAS and all that stuff looking just fine. Okay, I want to go ahead and tune in the ILS for runway 27 left in Atlanta in advance. So it's 108.50. That's supposed to be the ILS, and hopefully that works, because if that is wrong, then we have a problem on our hands. So 108.50 should be the ILS into runway 27 left in Atlanta. So I'm just going to tune that in advance, just so I don't forget it. Just so I do not forget it. Okay, that looks fine. All right. So we have to set up our flight plan before we're able to pick up a lot of this data automatically, pretty much. So I'm gonna wait for us to pick up the flight plan here after we set that in here, which we can do. As a matter of fact, we can do that. If we go to our flight plan, we can go to KMCO, the SID for today. We're taking off out of runway 17R and using the SID Jimmy 3 is what we're using. So let's do that. Jimmy 3 17R, insert. Let's go to the end of the flight plan here. KATL, our arrival into KATL is going to be using ILS 27 left, which is right about there. And we're going to be doing that using arrival JJD Jedi 3. So we're gonna insert that as well. Got a bunch of waypoints in between, so we can take a look at that. We can take a look at a bunch of waypoints, and we can program that as we wait for the ILS to align. Okay, so we are going from Jimmy 3 to Pan. From Jimmy, there it is, there's Jimmy. We need to go towards Pain. Pain is supposed to be some sort of transition, if I'm being honest, but anyway. Pain. There we go. Direct to Pain, and then we shall go direct to Shreks. So let's input that. The IRS has finished aligning here, as you can tell. We'll continue with our startup procedures here. But first, let's just finish this off now that we've started it. Shreks. We'll put that in. Next is Lyri. Let's put that in. Next is Lars. Okay, I'm going to clear that, and then I'm going to say Lars. All of these are direct without using any airways here, so that's interesting. Interesting choice by SimBrief there. And then we come into your arrival. So we can clear the flight plan discontinuities. There's a vector after Cape, which I'm not interested in following, quite frankly. I'm just going to remove that vector from that flight plan. No more discontinuity right there. And if we look down, there is one more discontinuity, another vector. I'm going to clear that too. So we're just going to leave it like this for today. Okay, so we've got that done. Now let's go overhead here. Now that the IRS is aligned, we can turn on the auto throttle systems, yaw dampers, can arm the pitch trims as well. So they will now be able to stay on because the IRS has finished aligning. Very good. Overhead, we have very little to do here, in all honesty. Apart from when we're ready to for our startup and pushback and all that stuff. For now, let's come back here. For now, let us come back here, and we've applied this already, right? Yes, we have. So let's pick up these weights. Yeah, let's pick up these weights and put them into our FMC as required. So, zero fuel weight is 96.6 and our fuel is 9.8. Okay, so let's set that up right here. Fuel is 9.8. Zero fuel weight is 96.6. 106 as takeoff gross weight. That is correct, more or less. 9.8 fuel, 96.6 is zero fuel weight. Okay, now zero fuel weight, center of gravity here, 22.7. Let's put that in here. Perfect. Perfect. That is looking good. Before we go any further, let's see. 1.8 up is what we need for our trim here. And 1.8 up, huh? 1.8 up. So let's go ahead and set that. That trim wheel was way out of whack. 1.8 up. So let's set that here. 1.8 up. Oof. So just in case you guys are not able to get a clear visual there is the needle. So 1.8 will fall somewhere. Will fall somewhere over here. Yeah, I'll put it there. That's 1.8 roundabout, more or less. Okay, great. All right. Now, takeoff approach. We need to put up the speeds here. We can do that. It's not an issue. Now, if we look outside, we need to get our boarding here started with the GSX, if it will let us. So let's go ahead and request boarding. And let's use GSX choice here. Boarding process should start, and as you can tell, the vehicles have begun surrounding us, which is great. I really like these covered walkways. For some reason, I really like them. Hopefully the GSX profile for this particular aircraft is working. There we go. The doors are open. That is perfectly fine. Cargo doors are also opening to load up our cargo for the day. Brilliant. I believe the GSX profile is just doing its job quite fine. Brilliant. Okay. Now, let's come to the calculator here for the performance. Let us see. What do we have here? 3048 is the length of runway. You can pick this up from here. Runway heading is also available to us. Wind at Orlando, sorry. Wind is 00, basically. It is a perfectly calm day, and we're using live weather, by the way. Perfectly calm day, 00 VFR conditions. Outside temperature 28 degrees Celsius. 1019 as the QNH. That seems correct, yeah. Okay, weight for today is supposed to be 96.6, correct? No, sorry, 106.4, my bad. So let's put that in here. 106.4. Let me just double confirm that. Yeah, double check that rather. Let's calculate. 59 degrees flex temperature, 35, 36, and 61. Let's go ahead and see how we can program that's in. Now, in the A310 or A310, V1 is supposed to be 35, 36 as VR, correct? Yes. So let's set that in. 135 V1, 136 VR. To set V2, we gotta come here and input 161 as our V2. Now, I don't like using 162. I like to add 20 knots to that, and I like to give ourselves 181 knots. So let's give ourselves 181 knots here. Actually, I'd like to put it as 185. Hopefully that will be just fine. So as you can tell, V2 is updated here. If it needs to be changed, we'll look at it. You know what? I'll put it at 181, but there you go. Now, takeoff temperature. We can go and set here flex temperature 59. Flex takeoff at 59 degrees Celsius. So let's put that in. There we go, 59. And we'll have the derating of the thrust automatically when we press the toga button over here for takeoff. There you go. That is all done and dusted. Brilliant. Now, pretty much at this point, there isn't much else to do except wait for the passenger boarding process, which has just about begun. There you go. It is just about begun and the passengers are boarding up our aircraft right now. So we better get that APU running to get some air conditioning in this particular aircraft. So let's go ahead and get that APU running for our passengers. There we go, low pressure warning, that's fine. Then we're going to press the start button here, wait for the APU to start up. In case you're wondering where to monitor the APU startup, you've got the dials right below the co-pilot seat, where you can monitor the needles here from this panel if you like. All right. Okay. Now it will also tell you that the APU, it will give you a little indication here that it's accelerating, meaning the APU is pulling up, and when it's available it will give you a green available light. So nothing too complicated there. Once that's done, we'll turn on the tank, the fuel pump here. This is the one that feeds the APU, and then we'll also turn on the APU bleed as necessary. You can also monitor the APU from the eCam right here. Just like that. Okay, so for now it is still spooling up pretty much, so we're waiting for it. Okay, now we're gonna wait till the APU powers up now and the boarding process reaches some sort of conclusion. And as you can tell, accelerating there it says it's accelerating. Brilliant. Before we move any further here, so just go outside, have a look at the boarding process. That is happening. That is happening. Okay, and I'm gonna continue letting it happen here. Let's see. Is the APU just ready yet? Okay, it's climbing up. Brilliant. So we don't really need to take a pause here. And there you go. This warning, it will go away once we turn on the fuel pump. Okay, so I'm just waiting for... The APU does have its own fuel pump. There we go, it's available. I'm just gonna press that and that warning goes away. We've got pretty much APU power, which means we can detach our GPU. We can also turn on our bleed here. And there you go. We've got a complete flow, which means that's working. Let's remove external power there. Let's come to the tablet and get rid of GPU because we don't need it anymore. No sir, we don't. Okay, so pretty much complete here. Let's just go through the approach page here. As you can tell, we're going to use 30-40 configuration. 30 slats, 40 flaps is what that means for our landing. Approach speed 133 as our reference. Minimum decision altitude, we're not going to worry about that right now. Decision height, we're going to set up the decision height in a second here. Decision height to -5 for the purpose of takeoff, so we don't have any interference. And yeah, go around, we don't need to worry about go around, so there we go. Pretty much that is it. Okay, we can now go back to our flight plan page here. There is nothing else left to do. Everything else is pretty much done. We can put in a flight ID if we like. We also need to give it a cost index, don't we? What is the cost index for today? 10 is the recommended cost index from from SimBrief. I'm not going to follow 10. I'm going to give it a higher cost index of like 50 here. Okay, I want to get there a little quicker than 10, so let's make it 50. Perhaps I could even go up to 60. I could, huh? Cruising altitude for the day. SimBrief recommends 36,000. Let's see what the FMC tells us. Max is 40,000. Optimum is 39,000. We're at 36. I'm going to keep it at 36 here for the time being. Cost index. Shall I improve that cost index slightly to 70 just so we get there a little quicker? How about that? Yeah, I think I'm gonna use a 70 cost index here today. Hopefully that will not be an issue. But apart from that, ladies and gentlemen, we're pretty much done here, and we just have to wait for the boarding process. Oh, would you look at that? Passengers have finished boarding, and so has the cargo. Cargo has finished loading too, which means we are ready now to get out of Orlando. Okay. All right. All right, let's request pushback and departure here from GSX. Let's watch that from the outside as it happens. Dear GSX, please be kind enough to... There we go. Doors have been closed. The stairs are going away. There we go. Pushback is about to get attached to the tug, and we will be out of here in no time, which is always good to hear. Okay, while that's happening, let's head back in here. We can now go ahead and turn on all the fuel pumps in anticipation. We can request nose to the left here today. Okay, let's turn on the probe heats and the window heats if they're even necessary. I'm not entirely sure. For the time being they're not, but you know. APU bleed is still on, that is fine. Everything else is looking okay in my opinion here. I don't see anything wrong here. All of these low pressure warnings will go away once we start up the engine anyway. Okay, landing altitude, elevation has been set. Everything else is looking just fine. Just need to do a bit more of the before takeoff checklist as we come in. Now, nose to the left here. Releasing parking brakes there. Then we'll start our engines at will pretty much. Okay, waiting for pushback to start up here. There we go. Started pushing us back, and we are going through the stairs there. We'll ignore that. All right, while that's happening, let's go ahead and start up our engines pretty much. Okay, engine start here to start A, ignition. Press start 2, and you can see the N2 rising. N2 is rising. Okay, coming up on 20% here, and then we can flick open the fuel control here. There we go. Let's do that. Engine number 2 starting up. I have to say, what a beautiful aircraft. Engine number 2 starting up. Okay. Let's move on to start B for ignition, and let's press start on engine number 1. N2 coming up. N2 coming up. Okay, we're looking good here. We are looking good here. Waiting for 20. Okay, pushback has been completed. Let's set our parking brake there. Flick open fuel control. What? Release parking brake? Interesting. There we go. Engine number 1 there is starting up. Now they want me to set the parking brakes. Come on. All right. All right. We did not turn on our beacon lights. I forgot about that completely, but okay. Forgot about that completely. Anyway, better late than never. Pushback being detached. There we go. We've turned on our beacon lights a little late, but nonetheless they are on, and that is all right. Okay. Waiting for that. We can turn on auto brake to max here. We can arm the ground spoilers. We can actually begin to drop our flaps to position number. What position? 15-15. Yeah, we'll do 15-15 for takeoff today, obviously. We'll do that here in a minute once we get the all clear from... there we go. All clear right there, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. I would like you to please get out of the way now, sir. Okay, there we go. Let's go and drop our flaps here to position 15-15. And let's see. The first 15 refers to the slats. Okay. I like that 767 FedEx. I should get my hands on a 767. Anyway. Flaps are done. Pretty much. Go. Let's get back into the cockpit here. Means we're pretty much ready for taxi. So let's turn on our taxi light there. We don't really need our ignition can come to continuous relight for takeoff. APU bleed can be turned off. And we've got bleed being provided by engines 1 and 2, and everything is looking just fine there. APU master switch can come off as well. Brilliant. We don't have any warning signs. No lights are on. Everything is looking pretty much ready here. Signs are on. Perfect. Okay. There we go. No smoking signs. Parking brake is still on. Continuous relight is on. And we can remove that. Those are the control surfaces which we can have a look at today. Whether they are working, and yes they are perfectly. Pretty much. There we go. There we go. Let's check our rudder there. Done. Brilliant. Brilliant. We got everything working. Those are the wheels, right? Yeah, those are the wheels. Flight control surfaces are here. We already know they're working, so I'm not going to go through them again here. So yeah, pretty much all good. And that, I believe, gets us ready to taxi out of here. So there's nothing else to do but taxi out of here. Perfect. Let's just have a look at our takeoff configuration. And it's all normal. I'm assuming that works by the way. Okay, release parking brake. And we are rolling. Our taxi here is very short. There isn't even anything to see. It's right here. So the runway is right there. That's where we're going. Runway 17R. So yeah, I don't even know if it's worth pausing the recording just till we reach the runway there. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Quick look from the cabin there. Lovely wing flex. I'm doing that just so you can have a look at the wing flex there. Look at that. Very, very nice. I love the wing flex on this aircraft. Look at that. That is brilliant, isn't it? Okay. Let's give it a bit of power. Crack it open. So we start our taxi a little quicker and we'll make our way. Okay, so I shall now catch you as we are lining up with runway 17R, and then we'll take it from there. We have stopped short of runway 17R right there. Let's turn on our lights here. Strobe lights can go on. Runway turn-off lights can remain off. Nose light to take off. Landing lights can come full on. Anything else we need to do here? Absolutely not at the moment. Everything else is looking just fine. Speed brakes are out. Flaps are down. Landing gear lever is down for the time being. Continuous relay light is on. Cabin assumed ready. Takeoff configuration is pretty much normal here. Everything else here is looking good, except one thing which we should have set up. I mean, we can climb out to 10,000 first. It's not like it's a big deal. But I would like to set up our cruising altitude here in advance to... what is it? What is it again? 36,000 feet, right? So it's going to take a while for us to set up 36,000 feet here. So we're going to be here a while if I try and do this right now. So let's make our initial climb out to 20,000 feet. And then I'll adjust this after we take off. Our heading selection for the day. If we look at our runway heading, we should have probably done this before, but that's okay. Is supposed to be, for takeoff, is 179. Right, so 179 can be set here. Not a big deal. Let's set 179. Come on. Come on. Waiting for 179 to come up. Oh, the knobs on this are painfully slow. 179. I'm going to leave it on 179. Okay, there we go. We're just having a quick look here and everything is just looking fine there. All right, brilliant. Brilliant. Okay. Given all of this, let's go ahead and take off. We can also engage nav here and profile. Let's release our parking brake and get ourselves out of here. All right. Let's go outside just real quick there. We're a little past the stop bar there. That's fine. There we go. Open up the throttle. Those lights are flickering quite a bit. Interesting. Interesting to say the least. I don't know why that's happening. You can also see them inside our cockpit for some reason. Okay. Lining it up really slowly for some reason. I don't know why I'm doing it this slowly. But we are lining up nonetheless. The engine sounds are really nice. There we go. There we go, pretty much, somewhat. Okay, let's go ahead and press toga. Toga pressed. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are on our way here out of Orlando towards Atlanta. Beautiful. Oh, there's somebody coming to cross the runway. Really? Now is not the time, mate. You gotta stop. Oh, good lord. We're gonna hit into him. Of course we are. Okay. Gonna rotate here. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Gear up. Gear going up. Looking good. Let's jump back in here. Make sure we stay. Okay, there we go. Brilliant. Okay. Want to hand it over to the autopilot. There we go. Autopilot selected. And we've begun to make our turn here. Flaps can go up. Let's head on outside really quickly. Slats can go up as well. There we go. There we go. Look at that. We're leaving behind Orlando, ladies and gentlemen. That is a good sight right there. If it wasn't for that, this guy right here, the Southwest, that just crossed our runway for some reason, would have had a near perfect takeoff there. Oh, speed creeping up there. Okay, everything seems to be in order at the moment as we leave behind Orlando. Now, I am in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and that is why everything is looking quite good here. The other side we can't see much. But I want to compare how the A310 flies in 2020 compared to 2024. My experience with flying it has been better in 2020 for some reason. Although, as we already discussed, the level of detailing is not as good in 2020. Okay, so nose lights can come... Oh, they've automatically gone to off? How did that happen? How did that happen? We just set the landing lights, didn't we? We set the landing lights and the nose lights to take off, and they've come back down to retract. I'm confused. Strobe lights are off too. What on earth has just happened? I think something has messed with the lighting. Yeah, I think something has messed with the light. Well, there's an interesting glitch right there. Continuous relight. Once we cross 10,000 feet, we can turn that off. But something has messed with the lights right there. That is fascinating. We saw the lights flickering, the nose light flickering as we were lining up with the runway. So I guess something messed with the lights over there. Interesting. Anyway, got them back on. Nothing to worry about. Transitional altitude should be at 18,000 feet, I guess. But we are looking good otherwise. Oh yes, ground spoilers need to be disarmed there. That's something I forgot about. What else? Oh no, we've got one mistake we made. That is, we needed to have our TCAS on. We didn't do that. So we got a bunch of mistakes there. Don't we, ladies and gentlemen? We ignored this panel. Something told me something was amiss. So weather radar, we need it. Okay, not that we really need it today, but you know. There we go. And we can put it on turbulence. And we should have also had this pretty much ready as well. But, you know, it's okay. That's okay. We should have had the tone on here. This doesn't really matter. This is not simulated. So yeah, we should have done this before we took off, but nothing to worry. 11,000 feet, so 10,000 feet has been crossed pretty much. Which means continuous relight can, we can turn this off now. And seatbelt signs can come off. No smoking can go to automatic. We pretty much on our way, ladies and gentlemen, towards Atlanta. Look at that. Beautiful. Very, very nice. Climb out is looking okay here as well. Nothing too bad. The autopilot seems to be doing its job. Auto throttle's doing its job. Profile and nav mode they are engaged. Let's now go ahead and set up our cruising altitude of 36,000 feet here. I'm going to directly climb up to our cruising altitude. Let the autopilot take care of it pretty much. So let's do that here painfully slowly as we wait to reach 18,000 feet where we can change our barometric pressure to standard. Following that, there's nothing else left to do in the cockpit pretty much till top of descent, where we'll be coming into some stormy weather into Atlanta. But beyond that, we're just gonna take a look at all of the views along the way till we reach top of descent. That's pretty much what we're gonna do. We're gonna enjoy the views, not too many, won't be too long, just enough to appreciate the flight, and then we shall find ourselves at top of descent in no time. Okay, still at 15,000 feet here, so yeah, we're climbing out we're climbing at about 2,500, around 2,600 feet per minute. Is that what we're doing right here? If we take a zoom in here, yeah, something like that. A bunch of traffic. That's okay. All right, everything else is looking according to plan. Although our cruising altitude is pretty high, so let's see how long it takes us to reach there. Let's increase the range there. That is where we're gonna level out, I believe. Yeah, we're gonna reach top of climb right there. Okay, that is more than 40 nautical miles away. Interesting. Interesting to say the least. Anyway, 18,000 feet, and let's put that out to standard, and we're pretty much done here on the flight deck. Okay, automatic on the thrust. We are pretty much done here on the flight deck. Everything is looking pretty much how it should. Have we left out anything? Just taking a final look around and before we go and enjoy some views, and that is pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we shall now enjoy some views and I shall catch you at the top of descent. All right. Alrighty, we're back in the cockpit here, and as you can tell, we are coming up on some serious weather here, which is great for the purpose of this video at least. So let's go ahead and begin our descent down towards, well, let me just re-engage profile first. Let us begin our descent down towards around 4,000 feet, if I'm not completely mistaken. So let's have a look at that really quickly. Let's have a look at that. It is supposed to be 1,500. No, sorry. Yeah. We're supposed to be 2,800 feet, more or less, I believe. Yeah. So 2,800 feet is, yeah, 2,800 feet is where we want to be descending down towards. So I'm going to command that right away from here. Okay, so we're going to be descending down towards 2,800 feet. So let's try and do that right here. Okay, down we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully we'll make it perfectly in time. And this thing is so annoying because it is there a way to change the way how much the increments go in? But I don't think there is. Okay, so let's do that right away. We're coming into storms here, so we probably should have turned on our seatbelt signs for the passengers, but we can do that under 10,000 feet if things don't get too rough, that is. So let's head down towards the altitude we need. We're a little below our path here, vertical path, but that's okay. Better slightly under than over, especially in the storm. But at the same time, we've got to be careful. So 2,800, there we go. 2,800, once more to confirm that that is the altitude where we need to go down to, where we are expected to catch up with the glide slope. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Just try and put that in weather. There we go. That is not looking very good, is it? I have no idea what that means. Let me just go up towards map. Yeah, we'll leave it in map here. Okay, that is interesting to say the least. Let's increase the range on that. Okay, goodness me. That is not looking good for us. That is not looking good for us. Anyway, so we've begun our descent here. I think let's take a look at the cabin view here as we descend down into the clouds. Clouds are pretty high today. There we go. There we go. So we're just going to continue on this descent, let the autopilot do its thing until we reach about 10,000 feet, where we'll have to do a few things around the cockpit. But apart from that, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking pretty much just fine. We're looking pretty much just fine. Look at how good we look. Look at how beautiful that aircraft looks as we descend down through the clouds. Excuse me. As we descend down through the clouds. So, yeah. So I'll pretty much tune in with you again as we approach 10,000 feet. We get some things done around the cockpit. Apart from that, we're just going to descend down now. See what views we catch along the way. Alright, I shall catch you at around 10,000 feet now. Alright, we are coming up here on 10,000 feet, just crossing 10,300 here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on our lights in advance, pretty much. So let me do that right away. Wing lights can remain on here for the storm landing. I don't really mind. Going to turn off the anti-icing for the time being. I'm going to arm the speed brakes to medium here. Oh, it's not going to let me do that just yet. Okay, that's fine. That is fine. Okay, so we are descending here. It should let me do that now, right? It's not letting me do that just yet. Okay, we're descending here, and it's going to be what looks like a high and fast approach, if I'm being honest. Hopefully that's not the case here. Okay, we are under the vertical profile, which is good. Let's take a quick look inside the cabin here. Cabin's looking okay. I don't know why there's a reflection of the clouds in the middle of the cabin there. Oh, would you look at that, an aircraft. We're making a nice little turn there. I don't know why there's so much reflection on this glass for this window, but we are looking okay here, okay-ish at least, as we descend down through the clouds, lightning all around us. Okay, let's head back in here one more time. Let's see what is happening here. We need to be able to set this. We still can't set the auto brake for some reason. I don't know. Can arm the speed brakes here, ground spoilers. Landing lights are out, which is great. Continuous relight can go on here for our stormy landing here. We're pretty much coming in too fast. We've got to slow down, man. We gotta slow down. Let's take a quick look at the FMC here. Puba is still at 250, and then we're supposed to go down towards 190, 150, 180. We can't land at 180. That is way too fast. We cannot be landing at 180. So what are we doing here? We need to be at about 150, 133, somewhere there. So this is not exactly looking the best at the moment, quite frankly, but we need to drop our speed. We need to drop our speed. Okay, I'm going to ask for level change if it doesn't work. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take manual control here and ask for a level change, because I need the speed to go down. So let me cut the speed right now. Let me ask for a level change. Let me introduce some drag as well. There you go, to help it. Let's introduce some drag to help it here. Whoa, we're going up. I want it to go down. Why isn't it doing that for me? Oh my goodness, it's not doing that. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. Okay. It's descending now. For some reason, that level change did not work. The level change did not work, and that was a mistake. But for now, I think it's doing its job. Not entirely sure. Oh, the speed is still at 250, so we can't drop the flaps yet. That is not good either. Yeah, that is not good either. We're having a rough time here, ladies and gentlemen, with this particular approach. I don't know why when I pressed level change it decided it's not going to do that, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm going to go back on here, try and catch ourselves up with this profile here. Decision height, we can call it 50 feet. Ugh, that is so bad. You know what, I'm just going to leave it at -5 because I know it's going to be a terrible landing anyway. So I'm going to leave it at -5. Oh, good lord, let's find out. Okay, we should have switched the pressure here past our transition altitude here. Okay, we didn't do that, but lucky for us, it's pretty much standard pressure here on down. Okay, so we need to reduce our speed. We need to reduce our speed to 190 apparently. We're going to be performing a very fast landing here at this point, aren't we? Yeah, and there's no way to slow this thing down either. If I try to drop the flaps now, it's to be on the edge of what's allowed and we might just overspeed right there. So the slats are down. So hopefully we won't overspeed here. This is looking quite nerve-wracking at this point. I'm going to open up Sky Dolly, started recording for our replay. But this is looking pretty nerve-wracking at this point. Okay, luckily we've got our speed dropping here, which is fantastic. We're at 4,400 feet. Speed brakes are out to help us drop that speed a little quicker. Although recommended speed brake is only 50% while autopilot is on, I'm going to go full on. Let's drop our flaps here. Ooh, overspeeding slightly there. There we go. Okay, trying to descend. Come on, we can do this. We can do this. We can turn on ILS right about now. There we go. ILS on. Dropping flaps again down as much as we can. Okay, we're looking okay right now. I won't say we're looking perfect, but we're looking okay. We take a quick look at the cabin here on either side. We can see nothing, which is always very confidence-inspiring thing there. Let's go down to flaps full. Landing gear not down. Okay, hold on, mate. Hold on. Okay, let's go outside and drop the landing gear. Dropping landing gear, if it will let us. No, it is not going to let us. Okay, dropping gear now. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Gear coming down. And let's also drop those flaps down there. Okay, gear is down. Perfect. Okay, this is interesting here, to say the least. But we've got our gear down, which looks excellent. So we come into land. Glide slop caught pretty much. Flaps are fully down. Speed brakes need to come to armed. Auto brakes can come on. Speed brakes armed, please. Anything else? Runway turn-off lights on. Nose wheel, we're going to put that on towards taxi. There, everything else is pretty much looking good. Ooh, we should have turned on those seat belts a long time ago, shouldn't we have? But we're looking okay. The aircraft is having serious difficulty holding on to that glide path there. Yeah, the aircraft is struggling to hold on to the glide path. I don't know how we're going to make this landing. But yeah, this is terrible. We've got a 32 knot crosswind, ladies and gentlemen. A 32 knot crosswind. That is not good. No. That is not good. So there we are, configured for landing. At least a little early there, which is fantastic news for us. Oh goodness, look at the way how we are crabbing. The aircraft is really struggling here. Really struggling here to get ourselves in. That is not looking good. No, that is not looking good. Okay, we're just gonna leave it here. Oh my goodness. Come on, it's gotta drop. Why are we climbing instead of dropping? Oh, we need to turn on landing mode. I forgot about that. Oh, goodness me. This is why you don't fly an aircraft for the first time into a storm. Or rather, not the first time, but it's my first time using the ILS on this thing. Okay, I'm going to take manual control here because nothing is working. Nothing is working the way it should. Disengaging autopilot, my aircraft. Disengaging autopilot, my aircraft. Auto throttle functioning. There we go, I have control. Okay, lucky for us the runway is not covered. Lucky for us the runway is not covered. But otherwise we would be in a pickle right now. Okay, let's see, is that gonna catch if I turn on autopilot? I don't know. Okay, either case I have control. I have control. Control here, and we are looking okay. Yeah, we're looking fine. Winds at 20 something knots. I was expecting less of visibility as we came into land on the runway, but for now we're looking okay. So that is good news. That is good news indeed. Oh, goodness me. These winds are not cooperating. 400. 400. Copy. That is not looking good. Come on. Come on. Okay. Let's drop our nose a little bit there. 500. Okay, that is what I want. 500 feet roughly. 300. Oh, goodness me. Okay. 200. 200. We're getting slammed to the ground here. 100. Okay, 100. I need to pull up a little bit. I need to pull up. Okay, there we go. A little bit more. There we go. Okay. Okay. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. There we go. A little bit of a hard landing there. But we seem to be doing just fine. Okay. Okay, we don't really need auto brakes or any of that. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Atlanta. There we go. Welcome to Atlanta, just like that. The landing was quite gentle, if I'm being honest. Okay, I'm kidding. That landing wasn't gentle. It wasn't exactly a gentle touchdown, but yeah, we made it without too much incident. That's something. Just gonna open up the throttle slightly. There we go. We can actually take this exit right here. Okay. We can actually take this exit right here. And before we go anywhere, let's go ahead and take a look at the landing replays, maybe. Or should we just park our aircraft first and then take a look at the landing replay? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to clean up here. I'm going to clean up the flaps and everything. And then we'll take a look at the landing replay. So cleaning up flaps. We're going to the generic ramp area, if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, let's just turn here. And then we'll find ourselves a parking. And after that, we can take a look at the landing replay. So I'm just going to open up the throttle a little bit. Allow the aircraft to taxi a little faster. Perhaps turn on some lights in this thing. There we go, just a bit of floodlight. Bit of the panel lights, just to have some sort of illumination in the cockpit. I'm going to turn that on and that on as well. There we go. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. That'll do for the time being. We could turn on the dome lights. A little bright there. Perfect. Okay, we can turn off here. Find ourselves into one of these generic parkings for the time being. Or we could take ourselves all the way left and go into one of those there. Huh. You know what? I'm in the mood not to park at a gate today. So I'm going to find myself somewhere here. Yeah, let's just turn here. Not in the mood to park at a gate. So let's turn here, especially given it's a retro aircraft. Let's have a good look around as we deboard the aircraft. Alrighty. We do have sky dolly, so we'll have the landing replay as soon as we park this beautiful A310. Oh, good lord. It's interesting to say the least, right? Let's open up the throttle there. Believe we're at the cargo place, maybe? Yeah, I think we're at the... We might be where we're not supposed to be by the cargo, but I think we're okay here. The weather here absolutely atrocious. But our visibility as we came into land was pretty decent, which kind of saved us. Although I must say, that landing was a little rough, I believe. Right? So we'll take... yeah, let's turn at the next one here. There we go. Let's turn here and get our aircraft lined up. Rudder inputs, it's giving us a little warning there. Okay, we can put that down. APU can come on. And let's start up our APU here. Okay, I think that will do. Just have a quick look outside on how we're parking. Yeah, the parking is just fine. All right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. And parking brake. Alrighty, there we go. Welcome to Atlanta. Before we shut down the engines or any of that stuff, we gotta go take a look at our landing replay, which is what we're gonna do now. So let's do that right away. Alrighty, let's see how that landing went, and let's see if it was as rough as I thought it was, because I felt like it was a little rough. So let's see how it went. Let us see. Okay. It was slightly rough, wasn't it? Yeah, I felt like it was a little rough, but on the whole, not too bad. Let's go ahead and have a few more replays from some other viewpoints, perhaps landing gear view. Let's check that out. Okay, now the weather has worsened. Obviously, the cloud has passed over. It wasn't this bad when we landed. Although I kind of wish we did have worse visibility when we landed, but nonetheless, let's have a look. How did we land this thing? Okay, oh yeah. Okay, a little rough there, but yeah, that is a little rough of a touchdown. It's a little rougher than I would like, but apart from that, nothing too bad, and this view is really great. We didn't really use our reverse thrust. I don't think we did. I don't think I deployed them. I'm not sure. But even if I did or did not, doesn't matter. We stopped really quickly today anyway. Perfect. Let's have a look at what the passenger saw from the cabin now. Alrighty. Probably coming in a little low here. Okay. Okay, it was a firm touchdown. I wouldn't call it rough per se. I'd just call it was a firm touchdown, so to speak. Yeah, it was a firm touchdown, but nothing too terrible. Nothing too terrible. Let's have one last look at that replay from the cabin. One last replay. from the cabin view before we shut down our aircraft, which we have left at the stand now. Let's have a look. I must say the winds were challenging though. Although we had the visibility, the winds were quite rough. But nonetheless, not too terrible. Nonetheless, not too terrible. Let's have a look. Let's see how the wing flexed when we touched down. Beautiful view of Atlanta Airport. Okay, there we go. Definitely on the firmer side, but nothing too bad. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed those replays. Let's now go ahead and shut down our aircraft, which we've left probably at the wrong stand, but I'm not complaining too much. It's a retro aircraft. Best to enjoy it. Give it its own space. All right, let's go ahead and shut down our aircraft now. Alright, here we are at the stand with our APU running, hopefully. Yeah, it is running. APU is running. Brake temperatures are high, so we've left the fan on. We can now go ahead, come here. I would also like to request the GPU at the same time. I'm going to attach it. And we can shut down our engines. But before we do, let me just check at the lights here. Wing lights can come off. Strobe lights off, and yeah, let's shut down our engines here. Everything else is sorted. Yes, it is. Okay, engines coming off. There we go. Brilliant. Let's go to GSX and request deboarding here. Request deboarding. Thank you. APU is running. GPU is available. We'll leave the bleed air on for the time being. And everything else is looking good. Okay. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Our covered up staircases, which is very apt for this situation, is coming. And our passengers should begin deboarding any second now. Is there anything else we need to do up here? I'm gonna turn off the fuel pumps probably. Let me turn off all the fuel pumps apart from the one that is required for the APU. Turn off window heats, probe heats. Maybe turn this on. I don't think I need to though. What else? Seatbelt signs can come off now. Completely. Beacon lights can come off. Nav logo lights to position 1. That is already on off. That is great. This can be disarmed here along with everything else that's already disarmed. Low pressure oxygen supply is supposed to be left on. Oh, we're just gonna turn it off for the time being. Let's turn that off. Let's turn off our ADARS. Anything else we need to do here? Doesn't seem like it. We're gonna leave that APU running for the time being with the bleed. We're gonna leave that external power connected up as well. So passenger bus is here. We're just waiting for passenger to deboard the aircraft. But yeah, all in all, enjoyable flight there. I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did, because that was really fun. Really fun. And this livery is so beautiful. Looking really nice here in Atlanta. Okay, so we're just waiting for some sign of life from our passengers here. As soon as we do get that, we're gonna get out of here, and there comes our first few passengers. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you enjoyed today's video. A firm touchdown, but nonetheless not too bad at all. A stormy landing into Atlanta. Hopefully we could have had that low visibility thing coming into land, so we couldn't see the runway. But fortunately for us in a way, because I didn't engage the landing mode on the Airbus quick enough. I forgot completely about that, just because I got confused with the approach button and the land button. So I'm not used to the land button, so I should have turned that on. But since we had perfect visibility with the runway, it didn't matter. We were able to take manual control and have a successful landing. Lucky us. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I shall catch you in the next video. Bye bye.